Welcome to another episode of the RankEmPodcast. Glad to have you along with us as we continue to count down and argue about the most mundane and ridiculous topics you could possibly imagine and wonder why three grown men, and maybe someday we'll find a woman that wants to be on the podcast, why they argue about these dumb, stupid things that we do. But they're fun, and we enjoy them, and we hope you do too. I'm Garrett Seawright. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and on YouTube at RankEmPodcast. Also, we are wherever you download your podcasts and listen to them. We appreciate your support with a 5-star review or a subscribe. However you can help us out, we certainly appreciate it. Joining us, as always, is my good friend Don Garwood.
How's it going, everybody?
And he is on Twitter at Donnie G. And joining us for the first time today is our good friend Kewan Blackman. And Kewan, before we bring you in, we got to ask you, where on planet Earth are you, and what are you wearing? And you got to tell us the truth.
All right. Well, I am in the land, Cleveland, for those of you who are not familiar. And I am wearing gray sweatpants and an AC/DC t-shirt. For those about to rock, we salute you.
So you've got the Sunday best on today.
Absolutely.
So, Kewan, in some previous episodes, we've ranked our favorite Little Debbies, our favorite Pixar movies, and our favorite Nicktoons. What are your three favorites of those?
All right. So, first and foremost, Honey Buns. I do know that your brother Zach touched on a little bit, but Honey Buns are extremely underrated. I feel like those are one of those things that you can, in any mood, and eat. So, for me, I'm not a huge peanut butter guy, so, not usually in the mood for a Nutty Buddy. I'm not a huge chocolate fan either, so not really in the mood for most of Little Debbie's products. Honey Bun, though, forever in a mood for. Also, just to let you guys know, fudge rounds are trash.
I've gotten that sentiment quite a lot over the past couple of weeks that I never thought I would get. But so Kewan, a lover of Honey Buns, hater of fudge rounds. Your favorite Pixar movie?
Up. Not even close. Absolutely love Up. Fantastic story. First time I ever watched it, I laughed until I cried. The scene where Russell drops his GPS out of the house as they're starting to go up in the air. I literally laughed until I cried. Speaking of cried, that first little 3 minutes where they tell the whole story, how the two met and fell in love, and Ellie passes away without a single word being said. If you don't cry or have a couple tears in your eyes during that time, you're a monster.
I agree, 100%. And then your favorite Nicktoon from back when we were little kids?
Doug funny, hands down. I feel like that's self-explanatory. Catchiest theme song.
It was a quality theme song of the 90s Nicktoons. That was a pretty good theme song. So Kewan is maybe the most invested fan of Batman that Don and I are friends with. And so today we are going to rank our favorite Batman movie villains, because Don apparently is a Wikipedia expert on the comic book villains. But Kewan and I, at least I'm not, but we've all seen the movies. We all love the movies, I think. Don, you love the Batman movies, right?
Yeah, they're okay. Batman is, Batman's a terrible superhero. He lets a bunch of people die in multiple movies, all because he is too afraid to actually kill somebody, and that's just the entire problem with the DC universe, but that's besides the point.
I don't know if I can be on this podcast anymore.
The hot take parade has started. So we are going to rank our favorite Batman movie villains. Kewan, since you're our guest, we'll let you start off your list at number 5.
All right, so number 5 for me is Mr. Freeze. Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze and Batman and Robin. Now, as a huge Batman fan, I'll admit, not exactly the best movie.
Not a good movie.
Not really. The costumes are cheesy, but
Batman has nipples in that movie.
Does. But
His
for
costume.
as cheesy as the movie
Like Alfred built that into his costume. He said, "Bruce, people are gonna love it.
People
Trust me."
are dying for some nips.
He he just wanted the villains to know that, like, when we're fighting you, like, he's here on my nips, pointing at you.
So you got Mr. Freeze at number 5. Good old Arnold Schwarzenegger, even though it's a crappy movie.
Nice to meet you.
Like, the best thing about his performance in that movie, the best thing about the whole movie is the puns. Like, the puns are so terrible, they're fantastic. I love it. Like when they when they're escaping out of Arkham, and you hear Mr. Freeze, he's like freezing the pipes so they can get out, and you just hear, "Always winterize your pipes." Like, so stupid. You don't get it as a kid. As an adult, you're just like, that's so bad. I love it.
Let's kick some ice.
Or when he shows up at the party and he's just like, "All right, everybody, chill."
He also says "cool party" during that same scene. Cool party.
Or when Batman shows up, "You're not sending me to the freezer or to the cooler." That's what it is.
Was he? So one thing I don't know, was he just a walking pun machine in the comic books?
Yes. No.
No. It's just
actually he was introduced actually in the Batman animated television series. And so like they added him eventually into the comics and everything. But he was never a walking pun machine. But it's so easy. Like, there's so many ice and cold and cool things.
Yeah, at one point, he doesn't even, like, it's not even a pun. He just says, "Freeze!" and shoots ice out of his gun. Like, that's not even a pun.
Well, and it doesn't get any better. I'm at this point, I'm looking up quotes from the movie on IMDb, and it's just Batman. "Hey, Freeze, the heat is on." Okay, well now you've turned this into just a pun off between Batman and Mr. Freeze.
I mean, even other like random characters. I think there was like some chick at a party that was trying to hit on him, and like Mr. Freeze doesn't want any other female besides his wife, who's like
right,
cryostasis, whatever. And
she's been put on ice.
Literally been put on ice, and he's just like, "Oh, talk about the cold shoulder" or something like that, and I'm just like, "Oh, so bad, I love it."
So Kiwan's got Mr. Freeze as his number 5. I will. I'll let my number 5. I also had Mr. Freeze at number 5, and it's almost solely because of the "what killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age." It's so horrible. It's so ungodly awful, but they are you're right, Kiwan. They are funny. They were genuinely funny when you were a kid. You're like, "Oh, that's funny. He said Ice Age, and then he shot ice out of his gun." And now you just cringe that they're so stupid, but they're still pretty. They're still pretty funny. So I'm along with Kiwan. I've got Mr. Freeze as my number 5. Don, what about you?
Number 5, I've got Edward Nygma. And Kiwan, can you tell me who that is?
That is the Riddler.
That is the Riddler. Jim Carrey in Batman Forever. It was I think it was everybody for the most part. It's like first like superhero movies. They aren't what they are today, where you can go and watch the Guardians of the Galaxy or Iron Man or Captain America. It was really only Batman movies in the 90s.
Batman and Superman.
Right, and the Batman movies, which is crazy as I was going through the IMDb page, got so many like A-list celebrities.
Yeah.
Val Kilmer at that time was Batman. George Clooney was Batman. Michael Keaton was Batman. Jack Nicholson. I always get Jack Nicholson.
And Jack Nicholas mixed up.
Yep.
Danny DeVito was in there.
Danny DeVito, Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Michelle Pfeiffer. Yeah, Michelle
Uma
Pfeiffer.
Thurman. I mean, it's
Jim Carrey was huge at that point, and to be in a Batman movie was
like right after Ace Ventura was. Oh, I'll go be the Riddler and be like this maniacal scientist who like gets fired by Bruce Wayne at the beginning. He gets fired at the very beginning of the movie and kills the guy who fired him, and then becomes the Riddler and starts this whole like very comic booky way of taking over the city of Gotham by like turning these TVs into mind control devices and really this was like the first like big ensemble movie that you get, where it's the Riddler, Two-Face, Catwoman, or no, is it Catwoman?
No, Catwoman is she's in the earlier movies with she's in Batman.
Who was Nicole Kidman in this movie? Was she just Batman's love interest, or was she Batgirl?
Man,
She wore leather at some point. And
Nicole Kidman. No, you're thinking of Well, you're mixing up Michelle Pfeiffer and Nicole Kidman. Catwoman was in Batman, the second Batman with the Penguin.
Okay, gotcha. So I mean, even still, the Riddler and Two-Face I think were the two main villains in this, and Two-Face was played by Tommy Lee Jones, who was the other person that we forgot here. But I mean, the Riddler, and just I think he did a very good job of bringing the comic book character to life in this movie.
So our number fives, Keewan and I both had Mr. Freeze, and Don had the Riddler at number 5. Don, you're number 4 in your favorite Batman movie villain list.
Number 4, same movie, Batman Forever, Two-Face, Tommy Lee Jones, and the reason being, again, it was the first like real Batman that I watched, and Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones, two people that I would think would not get along very well, played those two characters off of each other extremely well. They had like the very serious Two-Face, and every once in a while throughout the movie, the Riddler would get him to kind of break his super seriousness and have a little fun with him, like when they're at the party and hypnotizing people. You can see Two-Face starting to have fun, and then the very end, the way that he, spoiler alert, 26 years later, 25 years later, spoiler alert, the way they kill him at the end by he flips the coin to decide whether or not to kill Batman, and Batman throws the bag of coins into the air to distract him so that he couldn't find that one burnt coin, and he falls into the vat of acid and dies. Was a very cool way to kill off Two-Face.
So Don's got Two-Face at his number 4. I got to admit, I also have Two-Face at number 4 for Tommy Lee Jones. Tommy Lee Jones was really good as Two-Face, but then Aaron Eckhart really didn't get a chance to kind of be a villain in The Dark Knight as Two-Face, and they sort of steered away from that in The Dark Knight Rises. But I thought Tommy Lee Jones's Two-Face was really, really good, especially for a movie that wasn't all that great, but his character was phenomenal in that movie. So I have Two-Face at number 4 as well. Keewan, your number 4.
All right. So my number 4 is actually not from any of the 90s Batman movies. Mine is actually Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul.
I love Ra's al Ghul and Liam Neeson's. Love me some Liam Neeson's.
His name does not end with an S, Don.
Liam Neeson's, though?
He's quoting Key and Peele. Liam Neeson's, though?
I thought you were quoting Joe Exotic as Carol Baskins. Carol Baskins? Like, no, there's no S on the end, Joe. Calm down.
Record, she absolutely did it.
Breaking news. You're on the RankEmPodcast.
I digress, though. But honestly, I struggle with this ranking a little bit, but I figured 4 is pretty safe for me. Honestly, the first time I ever watched that movie, so it was the first of the 3 Christopher Nolan.
Begins.
Batman Begins. Yep, the first of the 3 Christopher Nolan's movies. I was so thrown off when I was like, wait a minute. So this random Asian guy isn't Ra's al Ghul? It's actually Liam Neeson? It's like, if you don't remember, the other guy was pretending to be Ra's al Ghul. But I liked him. I thought that in itself, that little part threw me off a lot. But him trying to take over Gotham, and also the comic book nerd in me, knowing that he runs the League of Assassins, and his daughter technically
Talia al Ghul.
Yeah,
Talia al Ghul.
I considered putting Talia al Ghul in my top 5 just because she was a villain the whole movie, and you didn't know it until
she stabs him.
Until she stabs him with
3 inches,
8 minutes to go. No,
three hard inches.
We are not doing that.
One of the best college humor skits ever.
It is phenomenal.
If that was a cool ploy, sign me up for another.
You got to break the alphabet. A
is for Alfred.
B is for bats.
I fight crime in a rubber suit all day. Really seals in the flavor. But, if you haven't seen it, the Dark Knight Rises college humor skit is phenomenal. But I did consider Talia al Ghul as one of my top 5, but she didn't make the cut just because you don't realize she's a villain for the entire movie until she's trying to kill the Batman. So, Keewan's got Ra's al Ghul as his number 4. I had Two-Face, as did Don, as we continue to count down our top 5 favorite Batman movie villains. So, Keewan, we'll go back to you for your number 3.
All right. My number 3 is fairly recent. It is actually the most recent Batman movie. So, I have, Batman-related movie. I have Joaquin as the Joker in The Joker.
Joaquin Phoenix. You broke up just a little bit, so I'm going to make sure everybody heard that. So Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker in the movie Joker, where he is not a Batman villain since Batman does not appear in it.
I was going to say, is that a Batman movie?
So I counted it as a Batman movie only because Bruce Wayne is in there. Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I guess that he walks up to him in the alley. Something?
Yeah.
No, he
also breaks into the
he goes to Wayne Manor.
Oh, yeah. You're right. I mean, I guess I'll allow it because we didn't specify to you. We had specified to each other that we weren't going to do necessarily movies that Batman wasn't actually in, so that like we could stay away from like Suicide Squad and stuff like that. But no, go ahead. It's a very good Joker and a very good movie.
I will also throw out that Batman was technically in Suicide Squad, but I digress.
For a hot second.
But I went with Joaquin Phoenix is the Joker, and I couldn't rank it higher than that, honestly, because you've seen that movie in the movie theater is the most uncomfortable movie experience I've ever had in my life.
Yes, so I don't know if you're the same way as I am, but like I don't necessarily like watching Impractical Jokers because I feel really awkward while they're doing those things that they do. And
I hate that show.
I'm going to spoil a little bit of the movie. Garrett, I don't know if you've seen it, yes or no?
Which?
The Joker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no,
he's in the hospital dancing in front of those kids and drops that gun and then kicks the gun. Like, I'm just sitting there in the movie theater. I think me and Keewan were watching it together, and I just cringed, curled up in my seat, and put my hand over my head. Like, I couldn't take the level of awkwardness that was happening in that movie.
It's a great movie. That's a phenomenal film. So Keewan has Joaquin Phoenix's The Joker as his number 3. Don, your list?
Number 3 on my list, I have Bane from The Dark Knight Rises.
What is that?
That is a shot glass that I'm talking into.
I was going to say, did you find a prop for this movie? I gotta find something to talk into to be Bane.
I was born in the darkness, molded by it.
It does sound pretty good in that shot glass.
I didn't see the light until I was already a man.
A shot glass works really well.
That's actually really spot on.
I was going to say, you should be proud of yourself.
I grabbed it like as Keewan was reading off like his number 3, and producer Ashley sitting here listening in, and she just gave me like the dirtiest questioning look.
Like, what in the hell are you doing?
Right.
Spend the rest of your topic talking as Bane into that shot glass.
Bane is number 3 because, hey, listen to the sound of my voice. It's a little bit echoey, raspy Sean Connery. And it's devolving further into Sean Connery as I talk. But just, he's jacked. The memes that came from him.
You and your memes.
I love memes. But
He's like, I'm stopping now.
That glass is real uncomfortable to hold up and avoid hitting the mic with it. So obviously the voice, it's super fun to do. He's one of the most quotable characters from any of the movies, and just that very beginning scene where they hijack the plane, and Peter Littlefinger from Game of Thrones asks him. He says, "Why do you wear the mask?" Or what would happen if I take the mask off of you? And he goes, it would be very painful. You're a big guy. For you. And then just all hell broke loose at that moment and really introduced you to the character of Bane in that movie. And from that point on, he really stole the show. Any scene he was in the rest of the movie.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So that's Don's number 3. Then I had the Penguin at number 3 on my list, and they made Oswald Cobblepot this sympathetic character that is when he was born, his parents were like, "Oh God, no!" Like most of us want, like most of them want to, and just sent him to the sewers. And we grew up down there, and so you sort of understand why he's so angry and why he wants to. Become mayor of Gotham City and take over the world and all of those things. But there's one of my favorite Batman moments is where he takes control of the Batmobile and he's rocking around, and Danny DeVito just played that character so perfectly. But there are some. I'll explain more about my top 2 of why I felt those 2 villains were better. But the Penguin is a solid villain, but he doesn't test Batman all that much.
We had we'd been hanging out with Zach a little bit earlier today as he came over and we talked to him about this.
Zach, yep.
He's been on 66% of the podcast. They should know him by now.
Well,
but
just making sure.
Your younger brother Zach told me that he thought there was a 100% chance that the Penguin was going to be your number 1.
Yeah, see, he said that to me, and I was like, no, that's stupid.
I thought he was too, because that was the only. We'd originally brought this idea up last week, and the only person you said to me was the Penguin. He's like, like Batman, the movie villains, like the Penguin. He's like, okay, he only knows the Penguin.
Oh no! I got reasons for my number 2 and my number 1. So those are our number 3s. Did we do Keywan? Did we do your number 3?
His number 3 was
Raza. Was Ra's al Ghul?
No, that was number 4. Who was your number 3?
His number 3 was Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Okay, so sorry.
The first Joker to appear in the list.
Yes. The first of what I assume is many Jokers to appear on the list. Keywan, your number 2.
So my number 2 is actually the same as Don's number 3, and that is Tom Hardy as Bane. Like,
let me hear the impression.
I cannot do it.
I know you couldn't do Arnold.
If you can do Arnold Schwarzenegger, if you can do Mr. Freeze, you can do Bane.
This is gonna be so bad. All right. Oh, well, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm just going to make a fool of myself even more than I am.
You can't go anywhere but up from where you just were.
Oh, I will say, I think my favorite part about it is that obviously Bane is the one that broke the bat. So, like, literally the part where he breaks Batman's back is straight from the comics. But his like approach to everything in the movie is fantastic. But more importantly for me, it's just that Tom Hardy, like, it made me realize how good of an actor Tom Hardy is. Like,
and he's
a
super
chameleon.
diverse too. He is a chameleon, just like Greg Oden in that commercial that you're talking about.
ESPN commercial.
I'm a chameleon.
But I mean, and then he was just super jacked in the movie.
Yeah,
like
he wasn't. I don't know. And he was jacked and lawless because of that movie.
Right.
He wasn't supposed to be jacked and lawless.
He was supposed to be kind of scrawny and lawless.
Right.
And
just like Shia LaBeouf, and they're like,
we've got to film this.
Right. It's like, well, I mean, you're the badass character. You can be jacked if you want, because we've put off filming this for 3 years at this point.
Right.
We really need to get it pushed out.
But that's another solid movie is Lawless.
Yeah.
It's because Tom Hardy's so good.
Really, though.
So Kiwan's not going to do his Bane impersonation for us, but that is his number 2. Don, coming in at number 2 on your list.
Stick around for the post show. We might be able to get some.
On the reaction show, we'll see if we can't get Kiwan to do a Bane impersonation.
Number 2 on my list, and I'm guessing that I know where this falls on your lists as probably your number 1, but number 2 on my list, the Joker, The Dark Knight, Heath Ledger.
Take it back.
Heath Ledger's Joker coming in at number 2. And it's such a flawless representation of the Joker. I mean, obviously, did he win the Oscar for the Joker in that?
Yes, he did.
Did he?
I think he won it. And, I mean, he probably won it because he died, but he deserved it as well. I mean, it was everything he did with that character was amazing. And
best supporting actor in 2009, yes.
And he did it, the stuff that he ad-libbed. So, like, when he was walking away from blowing up the hospital, he clicks the detonator, and then it doesn't blow up, so he flips it over and checks the batteries and clicks it a couple more times and then blows up. I mean, that was in a super dark moment where he blows up a hospital. They made it funny. And then the whole fight scene on the boat and switching the detonators and stuff like that. It's very it's very Joker. They did a really good job with that, bringing the Joker, I think, for the first time to the real life action movies.
So Don has Joker at number 2, and at my number 2, I didn't go individual actors per se or individual movies. I just went more character wise. My number 2 is the Joker. So I know now where other people's loyalties lie as their favorite Batman movie villains, but I have Joker at number 2 because Batman has a very clear hatred for the Joker, and I think it's because the almost psychological warfare that the Joker plays with Batman that really torments him. And so Don was right that Heath Ledger, his Joker, and Jack Nicholson's Joker are 2 completely different characters, but they're both still really, really good. They're both great in their own rights. And if you can have, and Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is outstanding too. So if you can have, 3 different actors have 3 different interpretations on them, and still all 3 be really great pieces, I think that's a really well-written character, and there's a reason he's had some staying power in the Batman series. So that's why I've got Joker at number 2.
I think 30 Seconds to Mars, Jared Leto. I think his Joker was good for the 2 minutes that he was in Suicide Squad. I liked the look of him. I really liked the casting of Jared Leto. I think that the original cut had a lot more Joker in it, and they cut it out because they wanted it to be funnier. It was right after the Deadpool release. Warner Brothers we need to hit that funny market. Let's cut out all the serious stuff with the Joker and just bring everybody back in to cast funny stuff. And I think it ruined the movie. I think Jared Leto kind of got a raw deal on the Suicide Squad version of the Joker.
So our number 2. So I'll let you keep going, Q1.
I was just gonna say, I remember watching the Suicide Squad version of him and just thinking of the Godfather scene, look what they did to my boy and massacred him, and I was just yo, but it was a very good different modern take. When I want the Joker, I don't necessarily want the same interpretation every single time,
right?
Something new.
So those are our number 2s. Don and I have Joker at number 2. Kiwan had Bane at number 2. And before we reveal our number 1 picks, we'll go around the horn with our honorable mentions. Don, who was on your honorable mention as best Batman villains?
So on mine, honorable mention, I've got Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul. And here's why. I think that he did a very good job as Ra's al Ghul. But he was in the movie so little. he was in it at the very beginning when you didn't know he was Ra's al Ghul, and then he shows up at the very end to die on a subway train. Sweet. But they did his character a lot of injustice from what he is in the comic books, and even in like the Arrowverse. If you ever watch like the CW stuff like that, he's a pretty big antagonist in the Arrow.
Also, I'm pretty sure you're required to have some sort of conspiracy theory when it comes to every other episode we've done. Is, have you heard this conspiracy? You don't have a Batman conspiracy theory?
No, because we're not doing animated Batman. But if we were going to go into Batman Beyond and talk about
if you want to do if you want to do a Lego Batman movie,
who voices Lego Batman, because he's a solid voice actor for
I don't know.
Will Arnett. Will Arnett is Lego Batman, and the Lego Batman movie actually pretty good.
I saw it in theaters with my wife, and she was like, "Why in the world are we watching Lego Bat? Aren't you 28?" Yes, shut up.
It was hilarious. It was so good.
It was good. Keywan, your honorable mentions.
Password to the Batcave was Deadpool sucks, or Iron Man sucks to get into the Batcave.
My honorable mention, we actually already mentioned her earlier, but Talia al Ghul. Mostly because, and like, you didn't realize who she was until the end, which I thought was actually pretty solid.
Yeah.
And also because I wish I hadn't finished the series, but I get why they finished the trilogy. But like, she's also technically like, spoiler alert, she and Batman have a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And that's his little
Damien?
evil child, Damien. Yep.
Don's over here proud of it. Don's over here smiling, proud of himself that he knows all these details.
What does he do? Is he like anti-Batman? What is his role?
So
like, he comes and lives with Bruce at some point, and then
he
trains to
eventually
be Batman.
becomes Robin. He becomes Robin.
And then he goes bad and kills Dick Grayson.
Yeah, but like, he goes a little crazy, and then technically in one of the things, like, his mother back and clones him and kills him, and it's weird.
It gets pretty dark. It gets pretty dark there.
The animated Batman in the comic books are real dark.
I mean, that's okay. That's a little dark. So that's Keywan's honorable mention. My honorable mention, I had the Riddler. Jim Carrey was good, but he's not really competition for Batman. At the end of the day, it's just somebody, like a 10-minute spoiler for a bad movie. It's not like Batman's like, how am I going to beat the Riddler? Oh my God! It's not a challenge for him.
Ooh, the Riddler does find out that he was the first person to find out he was Bruce Wayne. Like, broke into the Batcave and like wrecked all the stuff.
Yeah, but still, not all that much competition for Batman. So now that we have got to our number one favorite Batman movie villains, I feel like we're gonna not have all that much problem figuring out or being surprised by Keywan, your number one Batman movie villain.
All right, I was gonna say mine. Not surprising. I'm very interested to hear Don's though. But mine is, of course, Heath Ledger, R.I.P., as the Joker. That was so for those who don't know me, that is actually my all-time favorite movie. The Dark Knight was hands down my favorite movie. Fun fact, I went and saw that 2008?
Yep.
At the movie theaters. The movie theaters closed now, but I went and saw it with a girl I was dating at the time, and we were just gonna go watch the movie and hang out, and like, oh, this is cool. The theater is pretty empty, so we can get up top and see everything. She fell asleep, and like, I was like glued to the movie.
That was the beginning of the end of the relationship. She fell asleep during The Dark Knight.
Fell asleep during your favorite movie?
I was just like, the little things, like how Don said it, just the little, like, weird portions of, like, the Joker's performance. Just, I don't know, from the get-go, like, when you didn't know what was going to happen with the, like, how he outsmarted and basically stole all the money, and, like, no, I'm supposed to kill the bus driver, and like those little things.
That was a very good beginning.
I kill the bus driver. What bus driver? Tunk, and then that guy dies from the bus driver.
Like, so good. I love it. I
I know a rat when I see one. That guy is a rat.
He's a talker.
He's a talker.
Want to know how I got these stars?
Well, like he's wearing a cheap suit. Oh, it's not a cheap suit. You ought to know. You bought it.
I'm gonna make this pencil disappear.
So yeah, it's a solid number one. So we all think very highly of the Joker. It's number one on Kiwan's list, and I got no qualms about that. I'm not going to tell you.
I think it's the best villain performance in any movie.
I'm not going to tell you to text and drive over that deal like I did my little brother. Don, you're number one on your favorite Batman movie villains.
Okay, so number one on my favorite Batman movie villains, I cheated a little bit. I'm going to be honest. And I didn't let either of them know who I was picking, so I'm picking the Joker from The Killing Joke.
Oh, ooh.
That was the what I was looking for. Garrett's looking at me. He has no idea what I'm talking about. So it's voiced by Mark Hamill.
So is there
Luke
a Batman
Skywalker.
cartoon?
It's a cartoon
Mark
movie.
Hamill is, Don.
It is a cartoon movie.
I did not know there was a cartoon Batman movie.
There are a bunch of cartoon Batman movies
that are technically
Mark Hamill's technically the best Batman. Or sorry, best Joker, technically.
Yeah, Mark Hamill is such a good voice for Batman.
Like I knew he did the Joker, the Joker
Joker
on the TV animated series,
Yeah.
but I guess I didn't realize that there were animated.
So The Killing Joke, you were talking about how dark that they can get, like with the whole backstory. The Killing Joke is a super dark R-rated Batman movie. In this movie, and I'm gonna give you a slight pause. There's about to be spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
So in this movie, the Joker kidnaps Batgirl, who I believe, Kiwan, correct me if I'm wrong, was dating Batman. Batman and Batgirl were dating, correct?
Bruce Wayne.
We're not technically dating.
Okay, but they had been. Anyway,
bumping up.
The Joker kidnaps her, rapes her, shoots her in the spine, and paralyzes her.
It's awful dark.
Batman.
Does Tim Robbins approve of this?
Batman comes in.
Or Tim Burton, not Tim Robbins. Does Tim Burton approve of this Batman?
Probably. Batman comes in, finds her, and loses his mind. Like, beats the crap out of everybody, all the henchmen and everything, gets to the Joker. And Kiwan, do you remember the joke that the Joker tells at the end of the movie?
Oh my God! That movie ending was so awkward.
So it's essentially two burglars are on a roof and they need to cross from one roof to the other. And he's like, "Here, I'll shine my flashlight and then just walk across the beam." And the first burglar says to him, "Well, I'm not stupid. You'll just turn it off when I'm halfway across." And so the Joker just starts laughing, and Mark Hamill's laugh as the Joker is so good.
Yeah, it's creepy.
Yes,
this is a very creepy joke.
And then it starts to fade to black as Batman like puts his hand on the Joker's shoulder, and out of character just starts laughing like this super heavy. Whole screen fades to black. You hear a snapping noise, a drop, and then Batman still laughing. So the implication is that the Joker succeeds in breaking Batman in that movie, and he murders the Joker at the end of it.
Wow, that's kind of dark.
It's worth a watch 100%.
Well, I'll have
So
to.
Batgirl is Barbara Gordon.
Yep.
So Commissioner Gordon's daughter.
It's kinky. That's how it's going to be in this house. So Kiwan's number one was Heath Ledger's The Joker. Don's number one is The Killing Joker. And my number one is Bane. I'm not going to do the voice because I'm not any good at it either.
Do it.
Do it.
Pressured me.
You merely adopted the darkness. I was born in it, molded by it. I don't have a shot glass to speak into. But Tom Hardy's phenomenal in that role, and Bane's of the movie that I guess I knew existed. I guess I was thinking live action Batmans, but I'll watch the cartoons too. I'll eat up any Batman I can get. But Bane is the only one that physically challenges Batman.
Yeah,
he physically challenges Batman, but he also kind of mentally challenges Batman, and he puts up the biggest fight. I mean, that entire movie almost is Batman and Bruce Wayne struggling to try to beat Bane. Like, it is a challenge for him to overcome Bane. And so I think that he puts up that big of a fight that he's the best Batman movie villain.
It's a challenge for him to beat Bane because he's an idiot and didn't just kill him 20 minutes into the movie when he was hovering above him with a bat jet. No, he's going to let Bane kill 50,000 people at a football stadium
and
let his minions kill thousands of other and lock down the entire state. Batman's a terrible hero. Changed my mind.
Oh.
I'm not sure.
Let's not do this.
We'll recap that and unpack that in the reaction show. That
pains me to hear all of that.
That you can listen to here coming up. Just give us a hot second. We'll post that here too. So our final Rankem rundown is basically just Joker. Number 5 is the Penguin / Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, which we'll talk about that in the reaction show. I don't know if that's a Batman movie. Number 4, Joker, all of them, because I just lumped them all together. And Two-Face. Third place was the Killing Joke Joker. Second place was Heath Ledger's Joker. And our favorite Batman movie villain was Bane, because I think he might be one of the he was.
I think he was 1, 2, 3.
He was one of the only ones that we all three had on our list. So Bane is our top Batman movie villain. So Kiwan, wanted to thank you for hopping on the podcast with us today and giving us your perspective.
Oh yeah.
And we'll have Kiwan on again here in the near future. Also, you can follow Kiwan on Twitter at YepIt'sKeys. Don, your Twitter handle is?
Donnie_G.
At Donnie_G. I am at Garrett Seawright, and you can find us at RankEmPodcast on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And you can download us wherever it is that you get your podcasts. Thanks for joining us here on this another edition of the Rankem Podcast. Subscribe, give us a 5-star review, and keep watching for more podcasts that we'll be releasing here every weekend, wherever it is you download your podcasts. Thanks again for joining us on this episode of the Rankem Podcast.